Welcome, everybody. So nice to see so many people.
Thank you for attending this virtual event organized by Word Up Community Bookshop and Dominican Writers Association. During this event, feel free to add comments in the chat panel, which can be accessed by clicking the chat button at the bottom of your screen if you're on Zoom. If you have questions, please click the Q&A button and put the questions there so the questions don't get lost in the chat. If you're on Facebook, feel free to comment. I will find the questions and comments and I'll put them in the Zoom chat so everyone can see. If you don't know us, we're a bookshop and art space run by local residents, many of whom are volunteers. We can be found on 2113 Amsterdam Avenue at the corner of 165th Street and Washington Heights. We host all events for all ages and sell used and new books in English and Spanish. So check us out and place your orders on wordupbooks.com. We now have pickup, so you can come by Tuesday through Saturday and pick up your orders. And because we're not open to the public yet for browsing, we started a GoFundMe to maintain our space and to meet our obligations while we're closed. And we're also using our GoFundMe funds to, give free books to a bunch of different organizations throughout the holidays. So I will drop the link in the bottom. And I'll pass it on to Angie from Dominican Writers.
Thank you, Carolina. Hi, everybody. My name is Ángela Abreu. Buenos días a todos. Esto va a ser un evento bilingüe. Mi nombre es Ángela Abreu. Yo soy la fundadora de Dominican Writers Association. We're going to be bilingual, people, so the Spanglish is going to be used here today. I am the founder of Dominican Writers Association, and part of the work that we do is promote the works of Dominican American authors. And today we are here for a bilingual reading with Sili Recio, who is the author of, I have the Spanish version here because I gave away the rest of my books. And this is the only one I have left, which is Si Quisqueya Fuera un Color, which is also available in English, called If Dominican Were a Color. So if you guys have your book, hold it up. Let me see your books, everybody. I want to introduce Sili, who is here with us today. Sili Recio has been calling herself a writer since she won a trophy in a poetry contest in the 6th grade. How many kids do we have here who are writers? Yeah, start early. In the 6th grade, I was writing a children's book, Sili. She won a trophy in the poetry contest in the 6th grade. She is an Afro-Dominican storyteller, a disruptor, and a mommy. Sili earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from Rollins College. She entered the world of social media via her blog in 2010 and has never looked back. Sili lives in Florida with her daughter, the Frog Princess, and tries not to pass on her love of café con leche to her child. She is failing. You can visit her at silirecio.com. And if you do not have this book, just to give you a little information about the book, if Dominican were a color, it would be a sunset in the sky, blazing red and burning bright. If Dominican were a color, it'd be the roar of the ocean in the deep of the night, with the moon beaming down rays of sheer delight. The palette of the Dominican Republic is exuberant and unlimited. Maiz comes up amarillo. The blue-black of dream watches over sandy shores, and people's skin can be the shade of cinnamon and cocoa or mahogany. This is exuberantly colorful, softly rhyming picture book as a gentle reminder that a nation's hues are as wide as nature itself. So Sili, welcome. Thank you for being here today, for accepting our invitation to do this reading. And you're going to be reading from the book, both English and Spanish, right?
Yes, I am so excited to be here. I'm also kind of in tears because I really, really, really wanted to be there, like with you all in person. But of course, just with the way everything's been this year, it's making me really sad that I am not able to be live over at the bookstore with all of you, but I'm excited and thank you so much for having me. So are we just gonna get right into it? Let's see which book.
Make sure you show the beautiful images of the book. So hold it up for those who don't have it, because the illustrator did a wonderful job.
Yes. Brianna McCarthy is just amazing. I don't have enough words for her. And so I'm trying to figure out which one should I read first? Which one should I read first, do you think?
Let's do the Spanish one first.
Ah, yes, let's do the Spanish one first. All right, so I am going to try, listen, I used to be able to read upside down, but I think I've lost that in my old age. So one of my talents, my reading talents, but let's see if we can make this work, because I want to make sure that you all see the pictures.
Yes.
Here it is. Let's see, there it is. Si Quisqueya fuera un color, sería la puesta del sol iluminando el cielo en tonos de rojo. And I love this because if you notice, there are little, she put little kids running. When was the last time you guys ran in the field? El matiz de la canela con tu chocolate, los tambores y el despojo. Los ojos de mi abuela Matilde, color miel con piel caoba, el tinte amarillo de mi abuela María, parecido al mío, como aceite de jojoba. Si Quisqueya fuera un color, sería los tonos azules en el matiz del amanecer, la negritud de Haití que nunca va a desaparecer. El tinte verde que llevan las sombras de las palmeras, los recuerdos que no tienen frontera. El café con leche que tantos disfrutan y los marrones de labios que besos reclutan. ¿Quién está bebiendo café con leche esta mañana?
Yo.
Yo tengo el mío aquí. Si Quisqueya fuera un color, sería las caderas merengueras que bailan cuando camino, la charla constante que siempre encuentras con el vecino. Vecinos are nice, right? La forma en que mi boca pronuncia mis palabras, el color que sin saber siempre buscabas. Sería el trúcano de mi niñez, sería contar los jacks del 1 al 10. Y tuvimos muchas peleas en Facebook buscando la traducción exacta de hopscotch, porque en Santo Domingo se usa una palabra diferente que en otros países.
¿Cuál palabra?
Hopscotch, trúcano.
¿Cómo se dice en Santo Domingo?
Trúcano.
Oh, I have never heard that word.
Yeah, hopscotch. Sería los rizos que se entremezclan en mi cabello, el color del carbón reunido con el sol, brillante y bello. Esta es una de las imágenes más favoritas mías, porque me recuerda del pelo de mi hija. Si Quisqueya fuera un color, sería el rugido que se oye en las profundidades del mar, con los rayos de la luna siendo un lindo par. Sería el maíz entonado en el atardecer. Sería el negro azul que solo en un sueño puedes reconocer.
I remember that.
I know, it's like every time that you go, right? No habría una paleta que pudiera contenerlo todo. Es las estaciones del año, verano, invierno, primavera y otoño. It's my favorite. ¿Quién sabe cómo se llama ese árbol? Nadie.
Mm-mm.
El flamboyán.
Okay.
Y se encuentra regularmente en rojo, se ve mucho en República Dominicana, pero también viene en amarillo.
Got it.
Y ese es el libro en español. These babies look so cute. Now we're going to turn into the English version. Who's got the English version? And so when I wrote these books, I wrote the English version first, and then I didn't want to do a direct translation necessarily. So a lot of the words are the same, but sometimes they're a little different. And I hope that if you read both of them, you kind of picked up on that. But it was really important for me to have certain tones and certain words in the Spanish. So here we go. If Dominican were a color, it would be the sunset in the sky, blazing red and burning bright. The shade of cinnamon in your cocoa, the drums beating so fast, they drive you loco. My grandma's mahogany skin, honey brown eyes, my other grandma's yellow tint, just like mine. If Dominican were a color, it would be the shades of orange in the sunrise's hue, the Haitian black on my Dominican back. The deep green tints that carry the palm tree shades, the memories in your head that never fade. And Brianna told me that this is one of the first images that she pictured in her head when she first read the poem. And that's one of the first ones that she actually did. The neutral browns that color our lips, the café con leche that everyone sips. If Dominican were a color, it'd be merengue hips swaying when I walk, the chatter of neighbors strutting as they talk. Who remembers talking over the wall in Dominican Republic to your neighbors and passing cafecito in the morning? It'd be the way my words shape in my mouth, the color they might not know in the South. I'm trying to figure out, there it is. It would be the hopscotch from my niñez and counting jacks from 1 to 10. Angie, when we see each other, we're gonna have to have a nice mean game of jacks and see how good we do. It'd be the curls and kinks that blend my hair, the color of charcoal mixed with the sun's glare. If Dominican were a color, it'd be the roar of the ocean in the deep of night, with the moon beaming down rays of sheer delight. It'd be the maiz coming up amarillo with green. It'd be the blue-black you only see in a dream. There wouldn't be a palette that could hold it all. It's the seasons put together: summer, winter, spring, and fall. And there you have it. That is the English version.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. You are welcome. I hope you enjoyed that. It's hard because I want to kind of talk about it while I'm doing it. And it's like, you guys are here for story time. So I wanted to give you story time first.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. So Sili, what inspired you to write this book?
So this actually started off as an adult poem that I wrote. And I wrote it because I would always get the question of, what are you? Or some form of that, right? What's your ethnicity? Or, you know, well, you don't look Dominican, right? Like all of the things that I think a lot of us have heard. So I wrote it in response to that. I wrote it in response to being able to tell people, this is who I am. And when I shared it, like I think it was in January 2017, I shared it, and my friend Deneen saw it, and we have been talking about books. So she's, you know, the owner of Deneen Milner Books, and I remember her coming up and just saying, I think she just wrote on the Facebook post that this is the book. And I was like, what? Because all this time I've been thinking, right, as a writer, you're like overthinking, like, well, what am I going to write about? I'm having all of these, you know, failed ideas. And all along, it'd been, you know, something that I had already written. So by the end of the night, by the time I went to bed that night, I had a new version for children.
So you said initially it started as poetry. So how did you decide that this would be the perfect children's book rather than you keeping the poetry, for an adult?
I think, hearing it from somebody else, hearing it from Deneen and having her say that, because like you said, you think about it as a poem, you don't think about it as a children's book.
Mm-hmm.
Having someone else look at it from that angle, I think as writers, a lot of times we overthink our own work. We are like in it, so we're in the weeds and we don't really see. So she was able to come in and give me the 50,000 foot view, I think. And once she said it, I was like, oh, like duh, right? It made sense. But before then, I would have never thought that I could just, do this.
Yes, sometimes it takes an outside person to tell you, hey, you might want to reconsider, doing this. I know that since we posted your book, we had a lot of people come onto our Instagram account and actually argue the images of your book. Like, there were people who had issues with the title of your book without even reading the book yet. We just announced that this book was going to be published. There were people who said, I didn't know Dominicans were redheads, or just a lot of, I would have to say, ignorant comments. Right? Because you haven't picked up the book yet, you haven't read it, and you automatically have an issue with something without knowing what the book is about, right? Like, no one knew that it was in poetry form. No one knew exactly what you were sharing except for this cover. And just the cover in itself was controversial. How did you manage that? Because I know that I sent you a message and I was like, well, people are gonna come for you. And you were like, I'm ready, let them come for me.
I mean, it wasn't anything I didn't expect. I think so much when you're looking at the diaspora, especially, in the Caribbean, people have a lot of feelings about it. And a lot of us are just now really kind of getting in touch with who we are as a people. And so these are not arguments that are new, right? I've had these discussions, in person, online throughout the years. So I was actually, I think I was taken aback by the number and the quickness of it, like, and all the other comments. I remember seeing on somebody else's, it was another, I don't think it was a bookstore, it was another account that shared it, and they share books all the time. And somebody came in and was like, why is the word Haitian in this Dominican book? This book is about Dominicans. Like, they were like really obsessed about it. And I was like,
wait, you have the word Haitian in the book? Did I miss that?
It says the Haitian Black on my Dominican back,
okay.
That phrase. But they really like zoned in on it. And I was like, so you could write your own book about Dominicans.
This is why we need to know our history.
Right. So, it was just, it was interesting. And a lot of the comments, I got through, and then there were comments that after a while I was like, it doesn't make any sense for me to keep either reading
going back and forth.
And I know for a fact, like, a lot of times people that come on, especially social media, already have a formed idea, and nothing you say can change that. So I was talking to a class of middle schoolers last week, and we talked about like how to handle criticism. And I told them, there are times that nothing you say is going to change that person's mind, and you need to be able to know the difference between dialogue and just someone kind of, trolling. So yeah,
right. There are lots of people who are not open for a dialogue. They just have their assumption, they have their mind made up, and that's it. You could bring them facts and receipts and references and everything, and they would never change their mind.
And then the bottom line, it was like, it's a children's book. And I always say, this is the beginning of the conversation. If you want to talk about diaspora, this is kind of a good start. Like, this is not a dissertation on Dominican history and anthropology. This is like a children's book. So I think also taking it in that context, a lot of people kind of just ran right over that fact and went right to, like you said.
And the book doesn't only apply to Dominicans. It applies to the Caribbean in its entirety. It applies to South American, Central America. All you have to do is change the name Dominican. It could be if Venezuelan were a color, or if Nicaragua were a color, because we come in all colors.
Yep.
You can never tell, if you look deep into our history, we have Jews, right? We have, blonde, blue eye, and green eye Dominicans. We have people your complexion, my complexion, even darker, that sometimes you would, look at them and think they're not Dominican. And as soon as they open their mouth and say, que lo que?
Right. And I think that was a big part right? Yeah, and I think that was a big part of it too. And I think for me too, it was important to center Blackness as it looks in Dominican Republic, because Blackness is not a monolith across the diaspora. I think we have this idea sometimes, of Blackness, and it takes on many different shapes, especially when we're looking at the Caribbean and specifically at Dominican Republic.
Right. Does anyone have questions for Sili? Any questions about the book or the illustrations or about how she went about publishing her book? Nathaniel, you want to unmute yourself and ask her your question? Go on. Oh, you're still muted. There you go.
I couldn't unmute myself, but so I wanted to ask how you are a good drawer, and I could really understand how you were writing, like how you were under, like, how you say this? Like you actually put mind into it, and you put a lot of details. That's why, and I appreciate how you did all of this work. So
I love that. So here's the thing. I actually didn't do any of the artwork in this book. Brianna McCarthy did. Listen, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you my drawing right now. This is like what I could do, right? Look at my little coffee cup, right? That's it. Brianna did this. And the fun part about this is that I never spoke to Brianna. Brianna got a copy of my poem, and she was basically asked to do this. And so I think it's pretty cool that she kind of took my words and made it into what you see today. Yeah, and it was just, really interesting to be able to have that process. I do think that she did a really great job though drawing, right? And I really wish that I could draw like her, but I can't. I'm not a very good drawer. But Nathaniel, I'm sure you are. And, I would love to see your artwork.
I mean, I am Dominican too.
You are, so you could do it. You could get it done. Yeah, make it happen. I want to see some art from you.
Let's see. So Angela Freeman is asking, how many rewrites and versions did you and the illustrator go through? So
they kind of keep us, Deneen calls this the separation of church and state. They keep us separate. I didn't speak to Brianna while she was going through the process. For me, I think I had sent Deneen and I went back and forth on a couple of edits. So I want to say 1 or 2 versions, maybe 1 or 2 on the poem itself. And I'm going to tell you that I think that Brianna was spot on. Like, she did her sketches, and aside from a couple of things that I think I saw at sketch that maybe didn't make it into the book, she was spot on. So I would say for her, it might have been like maybe 2 or 3 versions, just because they wanted to get everything right, and now they had to work with the layout. But that process was a little bit longer. So Brianna also works in mixed media, so a lot of times it's not just her, painting and drawing. She's actually adding other elements to it. So I think that took a little bit longer, and then that whole production took a while as well once they got the artwork.
So the way that works is that Sili is not self-published. She was published by Simon & Schuster. And the publisher, once they purchase your book for publishing, they get an artist. They're the ones who hire the illustrator, and the illustrator needs to do sort of like a rough draft of what the images will look like for the book. And then they run it by Brianna, by Sili. Like, if so you basically have an opinion on the book cover, whether you like it or not, right?
I didn't even have, I wasn't even looped into that.
No?
And it was really interesting to me, but I think, part of it too was I really trusted Deneen. Deneen has such a great eye for art.
Oh my God, I'm such a control freak. What if you didn't like the book cover?
Ma'am, listen, it's interesting, but I think this is part of like trusting the process and making sure, this goes back to making sure that you have that you really have a good connection with your editor. And then, yeah, so it was kind of interesting to not, like you, Angie, I'm a slight bit of a control freak. Like I need to know everything. And this time I had to like let it go. And so it was an exercise in patience and trust.
Wow. Well, the norm is that there is an art team that is working on the book and is, and usually they bring it to the author and the author needs to approve say whether they like the book cover and the illustrations. That's the norm, but sometimes you have cases like Sili and she lucked out because the book cover is beautiful and so are the illustrations.
I mean, they came back to me and, they were showing me the process. I honestly, there was nothing that I saw that I didn't fall in love with. So again, I think I was just lucky that way. I'm sure that if something had come up and I, wasn't happy about it, they would have had a discussion, but Brianna was just, she's a genius.
So we want to let everyone know that Word Up is offering a 15% discount on their website, wordupbooks.com, for either version, the English or the Spanish version, if you haven't bought it. And you could use the code Recio15. So para ustedes que no hablan inglés, Word Up está ofreciendo un descuento de 15% para cada versión del libro usando el código Recio15 vía su website wordup.com. Si le interesa comprar libros, más de una copia, 10 copias para regalarle a una escuela o una organización que ustedes creen que deben de tener el libro, también pueden contactar la librería para que le pida los libros a por mayor. Nina says, this book is inspirational to share a piece of their culture with my kids. I am not Dominican. Cindy De Leon says, it's a testament to how vivid your words are. The imagery came through your word. Taina Coleman, Esperanza, age 6, likes your book. She wants to know, what is your favorite Dominican food?
Okay, so I have had tostones for 2 days because I just had to have it with una ensalada de aguacate, like una ensaladita ahí con un chin de onions, con un chin de limón, you know what I'm saying? I think that something that I don't get often, which is, and it's strange, is lambi, conch, and it's the way that is prepared in the Dominican Republic is different because it's different. Yep. It's brown and it's like in a tomato sauce, and I cannot find it anywhere, and it's driving me nuts because I would love a big bowl of it right now.
You're in Florida, so how is
that? Here I find it the way the Bahamians cook it, right? I know a guy that makes it delicious, and I love it, but I want that, right? I want the lambi that you make in Dominican Republic. So tostones, lambi. I'm a big fan of lentejas. I love a big bowl of lentejas with meat in it, and don't get me started. Now I'm getting hungry. Now
I'm gonna need a recipe book.
Now I'm gonna have to go eat. But yes, so let me see, who was it that asked that question?
Taina Coleman.
Oh, Esperanza, what's your favorite Dominican food?
Arroz con verduras.
Arroz con what? Con maduros? That's what she said?
Gandules.
Oh, she's got a sophisticated palate.
I'm probably gonna have some.
She was gonna say mango.
Mango is also delicious. Con longaniza. See, y'all are getting me on that thought. Ahora
Stop.
Longaniza, un quesito frito con un mangucito.
Cindy De Leon says, I read this book in one of my education classes at City College for story time that the professor has set aside at the beginning of each class. It is a beautiful book, and as a Dominican, I am very proud to share this book.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing it.
Cindy also says that her mother's maiden name is Recio, así que busquen si son prima.
Pero espérate, because I just told her que my abuela Matilde's name is De Leon. So we're cousins, somos primas, and we don't even know about it.
Let me just tell you that I have 2 authors that I've done a reading from them, and I think they're family.
It happens.
And they even look alike.
It happens. You joke around it, but mi prima Cindy, que está por ahí, I'm telling you.
People are stating now they're hungry. Any more questions? Any more questions for Sili? Sili, are you working on a next children's book?
I started. I have a book, and it's actually, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to give my daughter a byline in it, because it was a story that she told me one day, and we have nighttime conversations, and we talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I lost my mom in 2011, and so that's made a big impact in my life and in hers. And so she told me this story one night. She started it with when I was little, and that kind of caught my attention because I think she was 9 at the time, and I'm like, when you were little. So I grabbed my phone and I literally just like started typing everything she said. And it really was her perspective of kind of grief, and how when we used to go like to take flowers to my mom at the cemetery, she didn't understand. She thought that the way that everything was set up, there was a fence very close by. And so she thought that mommy was on the other side of the fence. And so the book, will probably be called The Other Side of the Fence. And it's really about her connection to my mom and what she thought. And she thought she was over there, and she was like, why don't we just go around the corner and go to the blue house? Because she remembered seeing this blue house. And so, yeah, it's about, I think, a child's perspective on grief, because a lot of times we go through our own grief process and we forget that children go through grief of their own in their very own way. So that's the next project.
Looking forward to that. Is there any advice you have to someone, because let me retract. I assume that you had never written a book in your life, right? You probably an avid reader, because most of us who write books read a lot, right? And you should be reading a lot if you plan to write a book. What was the learning process for you being published traditionally, right? Because you didn't self-publish, again, you were picked up by Simon & Schuster. What was that process like for you? And is it something that you would advise other writers to do?
So I do have a little bit of history in the publishing industry. I was a book buyer at Scholastic Book Fairs, so I had a little bit of a side of that part. I also, like, the first in Florida, yeah. The book fair's corporate office is in Florida, and
Scholastic includes your book,
right? I think they should. You know what? When they saw it,
send it to them and be like, remember me, employee of the month, of the year, whatever.
So they're always my family. Like, they threw me a baby shower when I had the baby, and I have been gone for like 3 years. They're always family, and it was one of the probably a teary-eyed moment was when this book was presented to them, and it was on a big screen. They sent me a picture while they were in the book selection committee with the book in the background. But having that, I kind of knew a little bit about what was going on. My first book of poetry was published when I was in college, and it was kind of self-published. I self-published another book of poetry a few years back.
Oh, okay.
And it was a big difference. I think the control thing, Angie, was major. Like, I had to let go of so much of it. But this is why it's important for you to, have a good agent, for you to have a good editor and someone that you trust with your work. Because if you don't have that, you're going to be a mess the entire time. So I would just say to take your time and find people that you trust with your work, and be patient, because the book, from the time that I got the call that they were going to pick it up to the time it published, was a year and 7 months.
Yeah, that's so about the normal.
It was a while, and it was like, but it's done. Why isn't it printed? You just want to kind of have it out there, but there's a cycle to all of this. So
what advice would you give to parents who are thinking of writing a children's book?
Just keep writing and do it. I mean, I think this year especially has taught us that, there's no time like the present. So write it, do it. And if it gets picked up, great. And if it doesn't get picked up, great. You've shown your child that you've done something, and they probably will enjoy it. And really, that's all that matters. And as long as you're fulfilling what you want to do, I say go for it. A lot of times we hold ourselves back, and this year and next year, I want to see people kind of just, push their boundaries.
Thank you. Angela Freeman says, just wanted to say that it's a beautiful book. The poem and the illustrations accurately describes us. My 3.5-year-old son loved it and loves seeing us represented in books. Él dice, mira, mami, se parece a mí when he sees brown women in books. So that is, I love hearing that. Representation, it's so important when it comes to, POC folks. I advocate for it all the time. How do you feel about that? Obviously, you know, this book was to represent a culture that comes in many colors, but you know, outside of that, how do you feel about the publishing industry and, you know, our representation? Because the publishing industry is 76% white,
Right.
and our books are not being published as frequently as white authors.
And books, and our books that have people that look like us, that are written by us, are even smaller, right? I think Denise says like 6% or something ridiculous like that. I think it's important, and I think that's too the reason why I'm really passionate about Denise Milner books, because she publishes, you know, the Black diaspora out here, and not just, you know, and just everyday things. Because one of the biggest compliments that I receive whenever I'm in my DMs, folks are always telling me, you know, this is the book I needed as a child, or, you know, thank you for writing this book, or I see myself in this book. And those things are important. And it's important for us to find people that, you know, find publishers that believe in that, and that we're able to push the envelope. And that's why it's important for us to keep writing the stories, right? And not just like the traditional, you know, the traditional stories that we all know. You know, we had a rich, you know, the diaspora had a very rich life before the Middle Passage. And so it's important for us to remember that it's not just all of that doom and gloom that people want to write about. I love books that are just about whatever, like about a day, you know. Cosby Cabrera wrote a book, it's a part of the Denise Milner books too. It's called Me and Mama, and it's literally about this little girl that wakes up and it's her entire day with her mom. Like, we have those days, and it's so beautiful to be able to hand that book to a child, and, you know, like you said, have that child see themselves in it, and have the adults see themselves in it. Because I think a lot of us are reliving our childhoods through our kids in a certain way, because we are now able to see, you know, the things that we didn't see back then. So it's important, and it's important for us to keep, you know, pushing the envelope and asking. It's perfectly okay for you to, you know, if you're at a bookstore, ask for a book, or say, hey, where, you know, do you have any books with, you know, people of color? And hopefully they'll start listening.
Right, like Word Up, guys.
Like Word Up. Like Word Up. They'll be able to guide you.
Definitely have a variety of diverse books. Nina says that she is 8, and when she grows up, she's going to write a book.
Oh, Nina, what are you going to write about? I love this. Keep a journal for all of your great ideas. I'm sure you have great ideas now. The best ideas come when you're a kid. I'm going to tell you that.
And Nina, you don't need to wait till you're an adult. Right now, there is a program that is now running virtually in Uptown New York City called Uptown Stories, and it is for children who want to write. And they end up, you know, you take these classes, these writing classes, and they end up publishing you in their anthology at the end of the year. And the anthology is sold at Word Up. It is a beautiful compilation of illustrations and children writing their own stories. So if you want to start now, and, you know, they're not expensive. I think it's by donation or whatnot, but the name of the program is called Uptown Stories. So you could Google them, look them up. They're on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere. You could call them up, email them, ask them questions. But their program is for children who have a love for writing. That's a program I would have loved to have when I was a child, because I had to figure things out on myself without guidance. And no one, you know, my mom didn't speak English. There was no one telling me.
Without Google? What?
There was no Google. We had encyclopedias.
I just explained this to my daughter the other day, the idea of encyclopedias.
Right. I told my kid, I was like, you don't know the struggle. We had encyclopedias. We had to look through these big, thick books to get, you know, answers to our questions. So now you guys have Google, and you could look up how to publish my book, how to self-publish, or how to publish traditionally.
And I think Alina dropped in the Uptown Stories link, and then her name is actually Camila. She's on her mom's account, so her mom's name is Camila.
So guys, if you don't know what to write about what you know.
Right. And what
is something that you like. You could write about an event, you going out with your friends, and maybe your favorite day, and you could make that into a story. Like a trip that you took with your parents that you really enjoyed, a vacation. If there's something, you know, quirky about your best friend, you could write about you and your best friend, you know, having a day of fun.
Or how you met your best friend.
If you like to play video games, write a book about a little boy or a little girl who likes to play video games. You know, write about your favorite things. Trust me, there's an audience for it. So you could write about anything and everything that you like, but the first thing is start a journal and create a habit of writing. So,
yep.
You know, I wrote poems like you, Sili, since I was, I received my first diary at the age of 8, and I kept the diary until my mid-20s, and I have like 8 notebooks, like 10 notebooks filled with my voracious writing. I wish that I could write like that still, because I would tell these journals every single little thing from the moment I woke up to conversations with my friends.
Love it.
Just everything that happened to me. And then I was writing poetry as well. And when I was in my, you know, later on, I said, you know, I have all these poems that I wrote since I was a kid. Why not put them in a book? And then I put them all together and I self-published my poetry book.
See?
So there's, you know, if you write short stories or whatnot, that's also a way for you to go, you know, collect them, put them all together, have your parents help you out, and, you know, hit us up and we'll tell you how to self-publish.
That's right. That's right. We'll help you out. And if you go to Uptown Stories, I love that idea of being part of the anthology. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Just keep writing. Just keep writing and write all your crazy ideas down, because sometimes your crazy ideas are going to be your best ones.
Yes, definitely. Any more questions for Sili? Any comments? Sili, how can people go about booking you for their schools? What if Nathaniel or Nina want to bring you to their school to read their book? How can they go about doing that?
They can email assistant@themamihood.com, and we will look at the schedule and figure out when we can make it happen. I love to.
And how can people get a signed copy of your book?
So Word Up is getting my book plates. They are in the mail, so they'll be able to, you know, this is kind of the compromise of not being able to sign books. So Word Up will have signed copies of my book.
Wonderful. And you could order the book via wordupbooks.com, or you could go into the store. Just go on their website and check out their schedule, their days that they're open, and you could go in and pick up the book. Nina has a question, a comment. Oh, you need to unmute yourself. Let me see. Try now. There you go.
Good morning, and thank you to all of you for allowing us to be part of this beautiful story time this morning. I was curious to know how we can go about booking you as a parent to socialize it among some of my kids' friends. So like on a parental, I'm not an educator, I'm a
book
mom.
Party. She's gonna do a book party.
Like a book party for 8-year-olds.
I love this. Same thing. If you go to assistant@themamihood.com, send us an email, let me know that you're coming from this event, and we'll see what we could do. Things have been a little nutty and hectic, but I'm going to try my best to do as many appearances as I can leading into the holidays. Beautiful. I like that. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Got you some business, Sili.
That's a great idea. Listen, I'll talk forever. I'll have to come here quiet and go home. I love
book parties, guys. Just do book parties and entertain your kids during this quarantine. If you one of the best gifts for Christmas that's coming up. For those of you who don't know, Dominican Writers also has a literary book box for children that we are currently selling. And you can find the link on our Instagram or Facebook account. And the literary children's box includes 4 titles of only Dominican books for children, so that they could see themselves represented in children's books as early as possible, not when I did in my 20s. So that children's box is available for sale via the link in our Instagram account and our Facebook account. They're called Little Dominican Readers. So you can also Google Little Dominican Readers and you'll find the link. And Sili's book is one of those books that is included in this book box. So
yep, they have, I think a few of us, I think, see, somebody here, Angela has some of the books from Little Dominican Book.
Yes, there you go. You see, thank you, Angela. Mi tocaya, you see, wonderful. What is your child's favorite book of all those? It's okay. You don't need to say sillies.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
You need to unmute yourself, Angela.
Oh, she can't unmute.
Let me see. Go ahead.
There you are.
I'm Marielle, actually. Angela is my mother-in-law.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. Oh, she got the whole family there. Look at her.
This is Sandino.
Hi. Oh my God. Look at that baby. So cute.
Oh, his favorite. Which is your favorite, Sandina? ¿Cuál es el que más te gusta de todos?
Anacaona.
Wow. Did we?
Oh, and that one too?
No, we had a reading of Mama Tingo last week on our Instagram account.
Very nice.
But wonderful. Yeah. See, how old is he?
3.5, almost 4. Yeah.
Look at that. He's already read 3 Dominican books.
And the Camila and the Rain, we have it upstairs.
Look at that. 4. See, that's more than I read at that age.
Yes.
But thank you so much. Representation is so important, and we want our kids to know our stories and see themselves reflected in our stories. So we appreciate that you purchasing those books for him.
Thanks for making that
and teaching him.
Bundle. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me see. Rogelina has a question. Are these stories at Dominican Writers every Saturday? Yes. So every Saturday at 1 p.m. on our Instagram account, we have a story time with Dominican authors. And today we have today's author is Adriana Herrera, who's the only Dominican author who writes queer romance.
That's awesome.
So she has a series of of romance novels with queer characters, which is amazing. So if you want to know a little bit more about, it's not for children, but if you want to know a little bit more about Adriana and her books, you could definitely join us at 1 p.m. every Saturday via Dominican Writers Instagram account. For the past few months, we've only been highlighting children's books, but we've now gone into the adult space. So, but
give you some good books to put on your list for the holidays.
Yeah, and you can always check out our Instagram account, and also Word Up has a list of Dominican books that you could purchase from, and yeah, you could find them anywhere.
That's great.
Any more questions for Sili? Nathaniel has another question. What's up, Nathaniel?
So I like, because when you sent the links and stuff, because I know I like the books. I like the books, and I know, like, I want to know where they are, like where can you find them, and I want to like read all of them, but when you put the links in the chat, I can't go into Word books for some reason.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. So
Carolina, the link seems to not be.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like time limits.
Well, and sometimes that happens if you want to copy that link and then go to Google and paste it there and then leave it there. But I think if you just go, or if you Google Word Up Books or go to wordupbooks.com, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, and Carolina just put the link there for the Dominican book list, which is wordupbooks.com/DominicanXS.
Yeah, because sometimes Zoom is a little funky with.
Yeah, you can always reach out to them via their website or their social media, and always, reach out to us as well, and we'll help you find that list. But I think we're good for the day. Thank you everybody for joining us today and for staying here this whole time. I'm so happy to see so many children's faces who like to read. That is wonderful. Keep reading. We have so many amazing children's book authors that you should be reading. Now we have, such a variety of diverse books for children and young adults, and they're amazing and they touch on so many topics. Please go up and explore them. Purchase these books, support POC authors, share them, continue sharing them with your kids and your friends, because it's important that they feel represented in the stories that we read. Sili, muchas gracias.
Thank you all for having me. This has been great. Now I feel like going out and getting all these books while I am eating all the food that we just.
Now I feel like going get some mango y longaniza.
I know, but I don't want to make it myself. Who can come over here and make this for me real quick? Just someone.
But all the way from Florida. So you see what virtual book readings do? You could connect from anywhere in the world.
That is a good thing, yes. I miss seeing everyone in person, but I really loved being able to connect with so many different people that I wouldn't be able to see if we were just at a location. So I'm really grateful to you all and to Word Up for putting this together. As soon as things start opening up, please know that I'm going to go stalk y'all and I'm going to catch a flight up to New York and,
Yes. We'll give you a tour of Washington Heights.
I grew up in Washington Heights, so yes.
Bueno, then you know already, All right, everybody, have a good afternoon. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. And thank you so much for joining us for the reading of If Dominican Were Colors, Si Quisqueya Fuera un Color. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye.